Tomorrow on Home and Family, we are welcoming actress Lauren Ash from Superstore, and Paige is making an ice cream pumpkin topia. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest captures remarkable photographs of our furry friends. I just couldn't help myself, which you can see in his two best-selling books, The Dogist and The Dogist Puppies. Welcome, Elias Friedman, and of course, our pet rescue expert, Larissa. Welcome. You are such a talented photographer. Let me say that to start with. Now,
it's
Larissa, it's the dogs.
It's not me. It's the dogs.
Oh, well, you know, there's a lot of dogs. You guys have known each other for a few months now, but Larissa, you've actually kind of known Elias for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, who would have thought I'd meet somebody who's more obsessed with dogs than I am, right? That's not easy to find. But I have followed him for a long time. You have, what, 3.3 million followers? Maybe a couple more than I do. And he's photographed 30,000 dogs. And we met at the Kathy Bissell event. She did the Blocktail party.
Okay.
And we met, and I cornered him and said, okay, I need to talk to you. Because he's just, you know, he takes these remarkable photos. So I was very excited to meet you in person for the first time.
Likewise. And all the dogs that were there.
Yes, exactly.
Elias, your love of dogs started when you were also just a young pup yourself.
Yeah, I think I've always been part dog. You know, I grew up with labs, and like my aunt was a veterinarian.
I love it.
But yeah, my dad and my mom are both doctors, so it wasn't like this obvious career choice to become a dog photographer. But my dad had a darkroom in the house, so it was like, you know, I had a camera, and we had labs growing up.
So your dad had a darkroom?
Yeah, like
as a doctor, he had a darkroom.
He was a hobbyist. He would take pictures of us growing up.
Our young viewers out there would be like, "What's a darkroom?"
Right. That's something back in the day where people used to develop film.
Right. That's right.
What's film?
Before
you ask?
digital.
Google it.
But that's, I mean, that's what it's. And now
I've always been a dogist, basically.
Okay,
I've always been a
this was
dogist.
before Instagram, so it's like, how could I make a career out of being a dog photographer?
Yes. And now here you are. I mean, the dog has gone viral.
Right,
I mean, it's huge right now.
The dream then was like, you know, maybe I'll have a gallery one day.
Right.
Okay,
and then,
I see.
But then, you know,
Social
Instagram
media
came
hit.
around 5 years ago. I was basically let go from my job, and you know, that was a bad day. But the next day was awesome because I'm like, well, I can do anything I want, and I can, you know, all these dogs are walking around New York City. Why can't I be the guy to do it?
You've got a virtual gallery that millions and millions of people can see all the time.
I've gathered an audience of millions of people who love dogs, share my love of dogs. So, you know, with a few taps on the screen, I can just put my image out there and everyone can sort of react to it.
You've got the viral sensation, obviously, in social media, which has inspired the books, The Dogist Puppy. And then take us through some of your favorite photographs, though. Do you have a few that kind of stand out in your mind as your go-to?
Yeah, I mean, any you know, this one.
Oh, come on.
It's just a happy picture. I forget the dog's name, but you know, it just kind of puts a smile on your face.
Gosh,
also,
look at his ears. He pulled his ears. Oh,
it's gorgeous.
This is
That's beautiful.
a liver Dalmatian, a brown Dalmatian, and I like to try and include people's like lower halves, their shoes, because it sort of lets you glean something about the owner.
look at him.
This is Pudding, who's a pit bull rescue, and she had been the victim of breeding abuse, and this was very early on in the series, and this was sort of a turning point for me because it basically, you know, before it was kind of like a silly idea, like, oh, I'm going to go photograph dogs, but this dog has like a sad story.
Yeah. But a beautiful, like a lot of character in that face and a great image
tons of character,
as well.
but it just made it so that, you know, this project can be profound in a different way.
Right, and it really has. It did take on a, sort of a new life in that way, and you have worked with so many rescue dogs through the years. Yes, which I know is even more reason for you to love this.
Yeah, and I love when we were talking earlier on the phone and doing a pre-interview when you said that Pudding, that dog, you know, this was for fun, this was great, people loved it, people reacted to these photos all of a sudden, you were, you know, had a name, but by photographing Pudding and seeing people's reactions, you realize how much bigger this whole thing was and how you could help. And rescues now rely on people like you to take great pictures.
Yeah,
it helps so much.
Walking around, you sort of forget that, you know, dogs, you know, they should be walking around in parks. They should be on your couch at home, but a lot of them are in shelters, and shelters are not a walk in the park. You know, they're kind of loud and enclosed. So it's important for me with an audience to give exposure to these groups that are trying to get these dogs out of there. So I have to, if it means me going to these shelters and doing rescue rides across the country, that's important for me to do. I have a responsibility to help dogs.
And I mean, so this was meant to be. So,
Yeah.
you know, people always say, did the dog rescue the human rescue the dog? It's kind of both for you as well.
When I look back, retrospectively, it all makes sense that I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, I can only imagine.
And it all started with pudding.
Well,
yeah, I mean.
sure, that was one of the first inspirational dogs.
Aww.
Yeah.
So, pet owners around the world, your fans and others are dying to get good shots of their dogs, of their pets, and I know you've got some tricks in the trade. I know for me, I mean, I try to get shots of Red, right?
It's impossible.
I mean, I really do, and I do okay. I try my best, but you got to walk us through. We got some video of you in action. And help us out and show us some of the tricks of the trade here that can help us at home.
Let me walk you through. Basically, you got to have something they want. Dog currency is like a squeaky toy or a treat, and then get down on their level so you can get a good vantage point on the dog's level.
Good.
And then you got to make some weird noises. How do you get the dog to look at you?
Perfect.
And if
ready?
It's nice to include the owner sometimes too. Elevate them, have it feel more sort of personal. The dog has an owner.
I like.
Yeah, the weird noises.
You're discovering sounds that interest them too.
I don't even know I'm making the sounds. They're just reflexive.
You do?
I just
And the way you move that ball was really helpful.
The dogs get more excited when you move the ball around.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And there's the shot, baby.
There's the shot.
Piggly was like, "Are we done yet?"
I do a chicken sound. I do a little like buck, 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 and my dog
maybe
looks
I'll
up.
use that.
I'm just letting you know.
I think they heard you there, but yeah, that movement with your arm was getting them, and I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's one of the
So I like
So you
that
just go like this to try to get them to.
Right. Well, like the squeaky, they think it might be an animal, so it's like, oh, what's going on?
Like they think a squirrel.
Yeah, a little squirrel.
And something else
So
you
if it's
told
moving,
me was not to do sessions too long. Keep them short.
Let them relax a little bit. Let them reset. Yeah.
It's almost like with babies.
Yeah. They can get their attention spans go away, especially with puppies.
And I notice also to get the dogs to really pop on the screen, you use a shallow depth of field for those that do photography.
Exactly.
I see that you get the sort of the blurred background.
My signature is sort of eye contact, so it feels like they know that they're having their picture taken, right? Because most pictures of dogs are like off to the side a little bit.
Sure.
But it feels like there's a person in there, and there kind of is.
I mean, do you put anything on the lens to try to get them to look?
I have the ball, I make noises, and there's sort of that moment, right? If I were looking at you like this, it would be different than looking at you like this. It's a very subtle thing.
Spray it with like a bacon smell?
I'll try
Treats? Do you use treats?
I have treats in this pocket, and I have a
Okay.
And he wears knee pads.
Yeah, and you wear knee pads, and you have them on right now.
That's right.
That's
I'm
impressive.
ready to go at any moment.
Okay, you ready to go? Listen, thank you so much for these tips and for being here and all the beautiful photos you take. Great to meet you. All right, thank you, Larissa, as well. Of course, the Dogist books are available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And for more info, check out thedogist.com.
And you all stick around because next, lifestyle expert Natalie Thomas is showing us how to throw an epic apple picking party that the whole family will love. Come on back, everybody.